Hey everyone, welcome back to Haunt After Hours, where we pay tribute to the work, chaos, and fun that go on behind the scenes. I'm Heartless Heather, and I'm here with Director Gary.
Hi.
And Big Ant.
Hey everyone.
And we've got a special guest today. This is Sarah. Sarah, do you have a creepy character name, or Sarah Bondi?
I made Looney this year.
You did make Looney this year.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll get to continue that one.
She's creating a character that she brought to life this year.
Actually, the character was really neat design.
Yeah.
Where does Looney come from? Because I don't know.
I
don't compute that as.
I think it just became from the fact I'm a lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I was running around after people. I don't know.
Your makeup was really good, though.
Yeah. The character was good. We should have had a picture of it.
I got some.
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
you
help
took a
our
picture of
audience.
me.
You failed us.
I'll post a picture.
How sad.
I'll find something and post so that you can see Sarah in action. Sarah is a haunt actor. She is a veteran haunt actor. You've been hunting for a long time. How many years in total?
I don't know. Since
Counting
your
this
first
year?
in,
1.
Since your first year in Turlock. So.
Yeah. And she's done set design, so at least 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
I think next year will be 9,
Yeah. So some people are going to be yelling at us, that's not a veteran hunter. But yes, you've been there for a long time.
You know what? For me, that is.
Yes.
Especially with the stuff we've gone through.
She does set design, and you are an artist by trade, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's got some cool jewelry and pendants, and we'll put a link to her page if anybody's interested in checking out some of her work. Later on in the show, we'll talk more about that. But if you're just joining us, so what we do is we get together and pay tribute to all the work, chaos, and fun that goes on behind the scenes in the haunt industry. I usually talk about current events or trends going on in the industry. Big Ant gives us the Boo of the Week story. Gary goes over a movie.
Or two.
Or 2.
Or 3, depending on which movie it is, evidently.
And we usually go over a paranormal story. We have Nanny Jenny, who's out today. She is having one of her sons had his 7th, or his wife, not him, had their 7th baby this week.
He had very little to do with it, I'm told.
7 babies, and let me tell you guys, 7 kids in one house, and they're all like good kids. Like, well, one of them's a little questionable.
There's always got to be one.
Yeah, Shepard's a little questionable. One time I told him, so do you guys remember the Lorena Bobbitt, when the Lorena Bobbitt story? Okay, and then you might be too old for this, Gary, and you might be too old for this, Big Ant. But on the playground, there was a song. It's in the jungle, or in the bedroom, the mighty bedroom, Lorena swings the knife.
I remember it.
Okay. A wiener whack, a wiener. Okay,
whack.
okay.
Yeah.
So I was teaching my children this song one day.
Wow, yeah, that's perfect.
Well,
That's great. What a great mother you are.
We were driving to...
They have to learn the important things
I
in
do.
life.
We were on a long road trip, and my kids like to know stories about my childhood, and they'll ask me things, and so...
Okay, so what
just
the
came
hell
up-
does that song have to do with your
We
child?
used to
I was
sing
there.
it on the
I know your
playground. We
childhood.
used to sing it on the playground.
It's an important thing, okay?
So I had told my children this story, and of course, when we get to the cousin's house, that's the first thing they got to share with the cousins is this cool song that they learned. Right? They're very Catholic church-going cousins, right? Had to hear this wiener wax song, and my little nephew, he was so cute, so funny. He's like, what'd she do? She just threw it out the window. And I was like, I guess that's how the story goes. And can you imagine if and he's like 5 or 6 at the time. Can you imagine if you found a wiener on the ground? You know what I would do? I said, what would you do, Shepard? He says, I would pick it up and I would take it to the priest. Why? Of all people, would you take it to the priest? I took it to him. I told my brother, I was like, why does he go straight for that? He goes, I don't know. I don't think he's ever been alone with a priest.
Look what I've brought you.
And then in his, like, he definitely belongs in a haunt family, though, because he's like, no, we'd find another bad little boy and sew it on. I'm like, so
Were
a
you
boy
gonna
that has a penis already? He goes, oh, yeah, he'd have 2 of them. Okay, weirdo. That was going to be a punishment.
You're going to put it on the back like a tail?
Oh, no, he's a little weird. But anyways, he's got 7 or 6 good kids. Hopefully this one... 5 good kids, a shepherd, and then a new baby is what we got going on there. Right?
Shepard's great.
Yeah.
Shepard's great. So
He's
let me
fun.
explain Shepard. you seen the movie Baby Boss?
Boss Baby.
Yes.
Boss
Yes.
Baby, is that what it's called? Boss Baby?
Yeah.
That's Shepard to a T.
Oh,
To a T.
when he was
From
little.
the eyes, the way he looks, the way he, it's just him. It's
As he's
100%
gotten
him.
older, he's got a little bit of, what do they call it now? Riz, like he's got the charismatic attitude or whatever.
Yeah.
But when he was little, he was very much like, you have no business talking to me, and he was very judgmental through his eyes. Like,
Yeah, he would stare you down. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they are good kids though, and the little one's a cutie. So Janice was asked if she could go and help for a little while they get accustomed to the new baby, and all the kids.
So even though they got good kids, there's still some roughness if they're calling the mother-in-law in to come and help with the new baby. Like,
And Nicole had to have a C-section this time. She was having some complications with this one, so they did take a C-section. So that puts her out of commission for a little
yeah,
while.
it's a
So.
little bit different. So anyways, that's where Nanny Janny is, but typically she would do a paranormal story. So today we invited Sarah in, and we're going to be talking about Ouija boards later. But before we get
Sarah
to
takes the spot of the paranormal.
I get that one instead.
But before we get to that, Big Ann, share with us your boo of the week.
Okay, so I got 2 stories that I want to share tonight. Let me pull this one up because I thought I had it, and I just made a mistake on my phone. Dead air. We love dead air, don't we?
It looks
Yeah,
like
we
we
do.
got a flame.
We do.
Okay. I might have to just
summoning
skip this one
things.
because now I can't find the
That's right, I can.
stupid thing. Okay. No, I did find it. Give me 1 second. I go to the top. Okay. I'm going to read this one. This one is from Morgan Walston. Now, Morgan is a traveling scare actor who has worked at such haunts as Netherworld in Atlanta, Massacre in Chicago, and Nashville Nightmare over it says the last 4 years, but I'm not really sure when this article came out. Now, I didn't reach out to Morgan. I just happened to find this online. He posted it himself, so since it's out there, it's free for us to go ahead and steal for tonight's story, so I stole it. Okay? So this is what Morgan has to say. He says, scare acting is quite possibly the most interesting job that I've ever worked. I've experienced everything from intoxicated guests to assault to someone literally passing out in front of me. I've been hit, thrown up on, and become a stranger to best friends. Became a stranger's best friend. All in one night. The story I've collected in the industry is absolutely endless, but one that my particular favorites is a scare from the last year at Dark Harbor, coined the beer goggles. This is what he calls the story, the beer goggles. A mild-mannered blonde came in holding a beer in each hand. Now, some haunts have bars. We don't.
Yeah.
They've talked to me about this many times, and I don't know. To me, it just seems like it adds a certain level of liability. I couldn't imagine what our insurance would be with the bar anyway.
You might have to beef up security too.
Right, I'm just saying. But the local ones around here, all the local ones do. They do have bar areas.
They must be making money then.
I'm sure you do. You probably make more money at the bar than you do at the haunt.
Yeah.
That being said, I just don't know that I'm quite ready to take that responsibility. But nonetheless, evidently Dark Harbor has a bar. So here comes a blonde lady. She's holding a beer in each hand. They were particularly overflowing, and I could tell she was focused on making sure that they did not spill. So she was being very careful. Of course, this was the perfect opportunity. Now, I should just point out, he doesn't say it in here, but Morgan is a slider. And for those of you who may not know what a slider is, they have these knee pads, they got metal things on their shoes, they slide, they cause sparks, and it creates a little bit of a synergy in the midway. Usually they're in the midway. So he figured that this was the perfect time. She had a beer in each hand. She couldn't reach out and get back at him. So he waited till the fog rolled around her legs, and then he took off running. He said, I hit the ground around her feet. She screamed, and immediately her reflexes were to, guess what?
Toss the beer.
No, he went up and smashed her cups of beer into her face.
Oh my
went,
God.
She went to go cover her eyes.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So as if she was wearing binoculars. That's
Oh my God.
where the name
Why
beer
would you do
goggles
that?
comes
Not
in.
to cover your face, maybe.
She was soaked. She and her friends absolutely lost it laughing, and I made my exit quickly through the fog, and it was priceless. Never to be seen again that night, I am assuming. Good job, Morgan. I like that story. I thought it was kind of cute. I wanted to go ahead and share that with you. That's kind of one that's haunt related. This next one is not actually haunt related, but I thought it was kind of funny, so I just want to kind of throw this one in there. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to sort of paraphrase here. So I don't have the name of who sent this one, though. It was an article that was brought up, and it didn't give me the name for some reason. So it was like a series of articles, and this just happened to be one that was in it. But so this guy, when he was a teenager, they had in his neighborhood, one of the houses down the road was broken into, and the guy was very careful. He didn't, he made it into the house. He was quiet, and he didn't turn on any lights. He had by candlelight. He started climbing the stairs, and he's getting his loot. He did forget one very important fact, however. The house that he was in was 3 stories, and the front of the whole house was all glass. They were all 3 stories up. So all the neighbors were out there watching this candlelight character go up the stairs.
Oh.
And our hero of the week got caught red-handed.
Oh my God.
So I thought that was kind of a funny story. And with that, my friends,
That would
that's
be
my segment.
very creepy, though. Like if
It would be creepy.
I always think that in Tennessee, when I'm at home, I look out the window, and I'm always terrified that I'm just going to see like a shadow person, a silhouette of some person there. There's been a time in the back, like when the baby and I, well, the baby is now 5. Kinslin was little when we moved into the house, and I swear somebody knocked on the back door, and nobody would need to be in our backyard ever. And I freaked out. I grabbed her, and I was trying to get her to be quiet. She scared her. She started crying because she knew nobody was supposed to be knocking on the door. Till this day, I have no idea who or why or what. But that reminds me of that for some reason. Like, it's creepy.
Especially with your house with the layout that it is. Like, nobody. Was
Yeah.
it in the kitchen?
We were in the living room, and we just
Yeah.
heard a knock on the back door, which is where the kids' playroom is. And
that's
I'm like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. That's the second.
second
And we have
story.
3 stories. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
3 stories.
And you have the woods behind your house.
I've been having
Yeah.
horrible dreams like the last 2 weeks of people trying to break into my house.
Oh my goodness. Well, you
There's
have a nightmare
horrible
story of
dreams.
somebody breaking into your house, and you just tell them, hey, it's too
Oh.
late for this. Like,
I was super sick. And I was sleeping in the living room, and someone was trying to get through the front door. You hear everything kind of rattle, and just he was trying to work something in between the door to open it, and it pissed me off because I didn't feel well. And I got up, I walked over, and I slammed my fist against the door frame. I said, "Damn it, it's 1 a.m." And then you just like heard him leave, and I laid back down. And like in my mind, I'm like, this rude person trying to break in this time of night, wake me up. Because you're sick, so you're not thinking right. And I'm laying there.
Come
I'm
back at 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
please.
try this
More
again
reasonable
tomorrow when I
the
feel
nerve
better.
of this guy. How rude. And then after I lay there for a few minutes, I was like, oh.
You're like, wait.
Wait a
Someone was trying to
minute.
rob
That
me.
doesn't-
That guy probably thought, it probably made him think, like, who says that? What a psycho. That guy
Right.
wasn't scared of me at all.
They're like, that was my bad. Tried to rob the wrong house.
They must have
Whoops.
thought nobody was home, and you let them know, hey, I'm home. And
They're like, oh,
They had to know.
Oh,
so I
you're
had-
right. It's 1 a.m. I'll come back later.
Yeah.
Run away.
I said a few different words, but I said, it is 1 a.m.
No,
How
that would
dare you.
scare me awake. I would be nope. I can't.
Nope. I was sick. I was
No.
sick bad that time.
I have these premonitions. I just feel that something bad, like a home invasion, is going to happen in my house in Tennessee. I don't feel that here, which would be very easy to do here. But I always felt like that's going to happen at that home in Tennessee. So I get nervous when my doorbell rings. Like, I hide for, like, I'm like, uh-huh.
I wouldn't worry too much about Tennessee. Everybody around there has guns.
That is true. And we are very good friends with all of our neighbors. We live in a beautiful neighborhood. It's not just beautiful, but as far as the companionship that we have with our neighbors, everybody gets along well. So I'm not worried about the neighbors, but I don't know, they've just always had this premonition.
Man, your neighbors, when I was walking around in the backyard, were like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? They were asking me questions.
Yeah.
And I was getting the third degree on it, and I was like, oh no, I'm here with them because I was there by myself.
We got the text. We went to Dollywood.
Yeah, they all went to Dollywood.
We left her behind because we don't take Sarah to Dollywood.
Yeah,
they believed you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a talk with them.
No,
she didn't.
No,
she sent us a message.
She sent a message, but she was like.
She's like, there's a blue-haired lady
Yeah,
named
because
Sarah.
Who was this? Which neighbor was
Donna.
It was Donna.
You're lucky it was Donna and not Ron, because Ron would have just shot you.
Yeah.
But
Shoot first, ask questions
she's
later.
asking me so many questions, and I was like, no, I'm here with Janice and Heather. She's like, do you know their whole names?
Yeah.
What's their last name? What's their last name?
Good
And
job.
I was just like...
Good job, Donna.
Let me tell you a quick story about... So we purchased the house that we're in now from my in-laws. They were originally the owners of the home. And we were evacuating from a hurricane, and they had the house up for sale, and those buyers pulled out last minute. And I thought, well, I like this house. Let's put in an offer. So we put in a secret full-price offer, and we didn't get any kind of hookup or anything, but we got the house. Anyways, and I love it, and I love the neighborhood, and we're there. But before, when my in-laws owned the house, they pulled up one day, and they're both retired law enforcement, so I guess they take things, and I don't want to come off as anti-American or anything like that, but they take things very, very seriously. And so they pulled up, and Donna next door had some people working on her house, and so they had her flag down, and it was on the ground. So because it was on the ground, their minds immediately went to Antifa has her kidnapped upstairs in the house, and she's being held hostage. So they called the cops and went and checked and made sure she was okay. Just called the cops and made up a whole story. And why? Why did we go there?
Point A to D.
So drastic.
What happened in their head to make that assumption?
Normal people would just be like, oh no, the flag's not out.
If they're ever listening to this, I'm not saying they're not normal. I'm just saying something crazy had to happen in their lives in order for them to jump straight to that. In all fairness, Donna's a really cute, petite, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and this was right in the middle of a bunch of stuff that was going on, so they were, I don't know, but I feel like I would have at least knocked on the door and made sure Donna was okay before I jumped to that.
Such a drastic measure.
It was funny.
I can see Dave breaking in, this gun held high, rolling across the floor.
Right? Like it's a superhero movie. Like,
right?
What's going on here? She's just in there chilling, eating food. Like, what's going on?
And Donna can be a trip. She's a really fun person, but her eyebrows are when she's really excited or she's really concerned, her eyebrows stay up, and then she keeps a big smile, so it can be really creepy. It's not. She's very fun, very happy, but that's something characters can take into account, because it can be very creepy when somebody's just staring at you with these big eyebrows and this big smile, having a whole conversation, and it's not always. She's not always thinking good things. Okay, you weirdo.
The eyebrows are deceiving.
Yeah. All right, friends. So this week we are going to be talking about how sounds can play a crucial role in the haunt experience.
Yes, and I found that out on the ride home tonight.
Yes. So before we get started, I've got a little game that we're going to play. I've spent the day recording a few sounds,
yes.
And I'm going to play them for you.
This is my point. I'm in my car. We're in my car.
Yeah.
And she's got this recorder going, and I say something. She's shh. Now I got to re-record it. She tells me to hush in my own car.
So you're being tortured all day.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Can you hear in your headphones? I'm going to push the button. Let's see.
Is that Chris's alarm clock and him snoring in the background?
No. This one, I'm surprised it went on for that long, but take a guess. What is that noise?
Car horn?
No, it sounds like that. It was not the car horn.
I don't know.
You know
some
what it
kind of
was?
siren.
You were there for that.
I was there for that?
Yep.
Do it again. Can you do it
Okay.
again?
Yep.
Give me one more time.
You were there for this.
I don't remember that noise.
Think about it.
Oh, was that the elevator?
The elevator got stuck open for a minute, and that's the sound of the door when it stays.
All I was hearing
So
was
what
the breathing
happened
in the
was
background.
we were in the hospital. So my mom's in the hospital, and we went to go visit her, and Heather had pressed the button. We were the only two in the elevator. Heather pressed the button, and then the door wouldn't close, so she pressed the button to close the doors. Well, when she did that, somebody came up outside and pushed the button to get on the elevator.
Oh, and it made a.
And it made that,
Oh.
it started that noise, but the door closed on them anyway. It didn't let them in.
Fun.
And I didn't reach over and push the button to reopen it because we were running behind.
So I am terrified of elevators. I'm the worst person to ride in an elevator with.
Yeah.
I've been stuck on an elevator 3 times in my life. Once we missed a plane coming back from Hawaii for being stuck on it. Once we got a free the penthouse suite at the DoubleTree because it got stuck on us. And that was really our fault because twice was with the same friend. She wanted to jump.
Oh no.
But yeah.
So
No.
you screw up their elevator and you get free stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember
We were young
that.
at the time. We were like 19 years old, so it was like cool. I mean, I must have been 21 because we were in Modesto. But
I'm gonna remember this. I'm gonna do that next time.
but
Gotta
no,
upgrade.
I can't do elevators. No. And there's a lot of people, I'll get off and walk. I do
I know.
them, but I don't like them.
I remember you getting in the elevator when we were going in the hotel, and you were just like, "Too many people, too many people, too many people."
That's when you're looking at the guys that are getting on, and you might be a little heavy. Get out.
I do that. If it looks too questionable. One time I was downtown LA with one of my cousins and my mom, and I don't know. No. You don't know how long you're going to be stuck in there. All right, I got another one. Ready?
I have no freaking clue.
No clue. What is
No
it?
clue.
No, do it again.
Oh, pen
A
cap.
pen. A
Yeah.
pen.
What is it?
It's a pen.
Pen.
Oh, nice.
You know what it
And
is?
these are scary?
No, but we're just got a few. These are just everyday sounds.
Windshield wipers.
Yeah, that's the one she told me to be quiet on.
Wait, hold on a second. Let's go back to the first one now that I'm thinking about it. Was there growling at the beginning of that?
That's what I
No,
thought. That's what
I
I
was
thought.
listening to the background.
That's
and
why I thought it was
somebody
Chris snoring.
breathing.
Right.
It's like,
Is
it's
there
just like
There is one that I'm going to show you.
I think that was the lady who pushed the button. She
It's
was
the
outside.
ghost
She
in
was
the-
mad because we
it's
didn't
the
open.
ghost in the hospital elevator being like,
Maybe. Rain.
That sounds like driving through rain.
Yeah, I think that was.
Did you have the phone out the window?
What the heck?
Was that Corinne screaming and fast forward?
I have a baby in there too. Hold on. That's the vacuum cleaner. There was 2
What
of
were you
them.
doing? Sucking up the baby in the
I know.
front?
I don't know.
You're like,
What did you do to
scream.
poor
Scream
JoJo?
for the show.
The first few times I tried to do it, I'd go like 3, 2, 1 until Krista turned the vacuum cleaner on. And when I got to 1, he'd say blast off as I started to record. So I was trying to get him to not say blast off, so he just screamed. That's still a vacuum cleaner.
Still the vacuum. Your door.
Door squeaking.
Oh, hi, though.
Oh, that's the pen. Oh no, that's not the pen.
Ready? Keyboard.
Yep, that's the keyboard.
Keyboard. Oh,
Keyboard,
somebody
typing.
typing? Nobody in this family types that fast.
I was typing. I actually wrote it all out what I was typing.
Windshield wipers.
Nope. It sounds like the windshield wipers. There's a lot of background noise because we had a fan on because our trailer leaked. Listen to the inside noise. Don't listen to the back.
A heartbeat?
Yeah.
What is it?
Heartbeat.
How'd you get that on there?
Kinslin's heart monitor.
Oh.
Her monitor does the heartbeat?
Well, we do her. We do
Stop, why are you
her.
in here?
Oh,
Her little finger thing to do her heartbeat, and then
Oh.
so if
Mine
you're
didn't-
cardiologists out there, listen to that and let us know what's happening with this little girl.
Mine wasn't cool enough to do that.
Okay.
Mine just got stuck in my body.
Are you still wearing yours?
No, I turned it in. I had to mail it back on the 19th.
Girl, it works.
It works.
Fine.
I'm alive. Leo, you're cool.
I have a
Go
baby that
away.
has a heart condition. When she was 9 days old, she was hospitalized for meningitis, which ended up being a blessing in disguise because then we found out that her heart had SVT episodes, and her heart was beating like 300 beats a minute. It was crazy. They had to stop her heart a couple of times. Then at 18 months old, she had a heart attack where she turned completely gray and black. And then I found out gray and black is cardiac symbol. Like if you see gray and black, it was a stone color. That's cardiac, but blues is where you stop, like suffocation.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I learned that.
That would
from
explain
having
when my friend Rod had a heart attack. He turned very gray.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. His mom, who's in the hospital, they're saying that she's has this heart problem, but I'm thinking there's a lung thing because around her lips was very blue. You know, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying what I seen.
Yeah.
So my, who was it that was telling us this? Oh, my dad. Today, we went to go visit my mom, and my dad has a cousin that lives in Missouri, and Montana. Anyways, regardless, he happened to be in town, and he went to church this morning, and seen my uncle there, and they were talking outside the church, and their cousin
Mid conversation
had a stroke.
Wow.
Imagine.
Right there, they had the ambulance pick him up and took him to, I don't know where he's at. He's in Modesto somewhere, one of the 2 hospitals there. So
That's scary.
prayers for him and his family. But yeah, that was kind of odd. But
So that's not to be insensitive to that, but can you imagine like just sitting there and somebody just passing out in front of you? What happens? Well, I can't imagine it because Sarah has done that to us a few times.
I've done that a couple times.
yeah, that's true.
There has been times where Sarah just like, and then one time I had children with us, and then for like a week later they are playing seizures. So I'm like,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so cold, dude.
Hey, that's not
Great.
she. So Heather used to be a teacher, a substitute teacher, and they were at this school one time, and they had this pit bull that was loose. And so back then, I don't know if they still do it now, but back then the protocol was if it was a pit bull, it was an aggressive pit bull, they just took it down right there. So the officer out in front of the school shot the dog. Do you remember that?
I don't remember this.
You don't remember that?
No,
You're
I
the one
don't.
that told me the story.
I don't remember
He
this.
shot the dog, and for the rest of you would think it would traumatize the kids.
Yeah,
the rest
absolutely.
of the afternoon,
No.
the kids were playing cop shooting the
Oh yeah,
dog.
no, I was not. It was not when I was a substitute. When I first started teaching at Farmdale School.
Yes, it was at Farmdale. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
now
wasn't
you know.
subbing then.
Okay, well
Yeah,
were
you
teaching.
threw me off when you said substituting. That was a lifetime ago. Before I had children of my own.
Oh, I thought you were subbing there.
That was really fun. Great. I was it was so cute. Like the little kids are so cute, but one of the kids came up and like did this. They were Spider-Man, you know.
Yeah.
Like it was just so cute. And
They were all so cute
I would
until
start
they
doing
were-
that to them, and then they'd fall over, and I love.
They were all
that
so
grade
cute
level.
until they watched that horror. And
Yeah, then they were playing cops and robbers.
then they were playing cops and
cops and
shoot
dead
shoot
dogs.
the dog.
I don't know.
I really honestly don't know if that would fly now.
No.
I don't think that would happen
No.
now. They'd have somebody like Joanne, one of my other neighbors. She's really into rescuing dogs. I'd think that would be all over. Like that would be something right up her alley.
Right?
Yeah.
But that pit bull could have been on to something. Like there could have been an issue why they shot the pit bull.
Well, there had to be because I don't even think back then it was really.
And this was a long time ago. I'm 39 now, and that was probably when I was like 22.
Yeah, a long time ago I had a pit bull, and we had a few chickens in the backyard, and there was some dogs you just cannot stop. Like when it's in their head, this is what they're doing.
aggressive.
I don't care what you're doing to try to stop this dog. If they don't want to stop, they're not.
I have a Yorkie that's like that, so it doesn't really.
Yeah, a Yorkie. Yeah.
I do. And it doesn't matter who. Like once it's in his head, he's just gonna kill you. So you like.
Death by
you-
we have Leo, and Leo just does what he wants.
But Rusty can be vicious. I mean, I get embarrassed, which is weird. I can bring him here in California. He's fine. I guess he does chase the mailman. take him back to Tennessee. Take him back to Tennessee, and if there's a man that's anywhere near our house or a kid that's a boy, he wants to kill him. Like he's just, and I'm
That's
like,
his territory, though.
Yeah.
He's protecting
Yeah.
his family.
Wow.
I mean,
He's doing what he's gotta
he
do.
does. He's much better now, though. He's mellowed out, but
He hasn't done anything to me.
no.
No, he's good. Well, I was nervous about when we came for Travis's wedding a couple of years ago. I was like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this dog. I'm not going to be able to leave him anywhere. He was perfectly fine when we are here in California. It's just something about home where he's just like, no man is going to come into his territory.
That's what I'm saying. When you're home, when you're in Tennessee, you're usually there without Chris. You're there by yourself
Right,
or whatever. So I honestly think he's stepping up. He's thinking
he's the man of the house.
He's the man of the house.
It's like, I have to protect everybody.
So, the whole point of me bringing up the sounds, which, speaking of dog sounds, that would be kind of good. If I'm more afraid of my home invasion, I just need to keep some aggressive pit bull dog sounds in the background so they think I have dogs.
Do
I
some
can
Home
let
Alone
loose.
stuff.
Oh,
Just start
yeah.
blasting
That's
some
exactly
stuff.
what I was thinking. Home Alone
And then they
style.
break in and see Rusty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, this is not
Yeah, but
scary.
Rusty will kill him, so I'm not worried about that. Anyways, so sounds play a crucial role in the haunted house experience by creating a sense of atmosphere, building tension, and amplifying fear, essentially making the environment feel more real and immersive. So often through the use of eerie sounds like doors creaking, footsteps, whispers, unsettling background music, they can trigger reactions from visitors. In Louisiana, we had a scene that I did not think was going to be that big of a deal. It was a very simple scene. We had a Connex box that we had in the middle of a Connex box. We had some plywood to make it a U. So you just walked in and walked out. Walked through a scene and walked out. And all that was in the scene was a girl shackled to the floor. And behind her, so a green light would show on her. And when you came in, she would scream, shut the light off, and the murderer, whoever had her in, would slam the door. So you heard a door slam. That scene, for whatever reason, I don't know if her ear-piercing scream, the hit of the door slamming behind, or what. People were done after they went through the scene. They could, and a lot of them, I mean, a sad number, it triggered PTSD for them. Like, there was way too many people that came out saying that this triggered PTSD for me. And I was like, oh, goodness. Of course, it was one of the scariest rooms, so I had to keep it in for the next year. But I did warn people, like, if you got any PTSD issues, you got to let us know so we can bypass you through here. But sounds play an important role. Gary, you shoot movies. Tell me about how sounds play an important role.
They play an important role.
Well,
that was a great description.
you want to make sure you've got your sounds right for your haunt scenes. Now, we've gone through some haunts, and I went with Gary through Universal, and I noticed that a lot of them play one soundtrack through the whole haunted house, and it was really loud, and they were fitting for the rooms or whatever. We do individual soundtracks for each room, and some people do one soundtrack for each room, and some people do individual ones. What do you think is better?
I like how we do it, honestly.
Yeah, as long as our music boxes stay running all night long.
Yeah, there's always that issue.
I like whatever puts the sound out there. That's the problem. Is sometimes you got one that got knocked over, or
you got actors that just aren't doing it right. So I get that. I get why having one sound through the whole thing might be better. But I kind of like individual sounds.
For me, as a person who went through, because I didn't help the build, I wasn't working it or anything. For a person like me who went through, I found it interesting because it made it feel like it was all one haunt, but there was multiple haunts tied in to one story. So when you walked into like one area, there was this music playing, like a lullaby song, right when we were in the doll room, and then when you leave, there was kind of a backwoods kind of feel when you have the butcher or the pig man with his chainsaw.
Right.
Yeah.
I really liked it because it gives it more of a theme as you're going through. It
Yeah.
all ties together.
Yeah.
That's what somebody that when I posted this question out there, somebody had said that it makes it, if you have different sounds throughout the haunted house, it makes it more believable, more relatable, more like I'm immersed in
that scene.
in where I'm at, and it's somebody, like, you can believe in your mind for half a second that somebody lives here and this is happening, versus if you're going through and it's all one soundtrack, maybe it's, I'm just walking through a haunted house.
Right.
And I honestly think it helps the actors that are in that scene because they can go off of the sound and like incorporate that into how they're scaring.
Yeah.
Because if you have the creepy music in there, you know, you're like, okay, I have this creepy music. Say if you're in the, I don't know, if you're in the, like you said, like in the doll room, you can sit there and you hear the creepy music and you know, I can whisper, I can laugh, I can be really quiet, or I can be really
it gives
loud.
you synergy to build off of. Yeah, I agree with that.
Instead of it just being
you have to do all of it, overperforming.
So it is a lot more costly to do that. It is a lot more costly to do that because you have to have a box and a soundtrack for each particular one.
Yeah.
So there is, you know, you're 20 times the expense as opposed to just putting up one.
Somebody had brought up that the psychological impact of individual sounds is a big thing. Like I said, this high-pitched scream or the door slamming or things like that really like grab people's attention. Now, we have our jump scares that obviously is going to spook you, but there is like people, not that we're trying to trigger PTSD, but there are fears that you're triggering when you bring out sounds. So, I think it's something that if you're not doing sounds in individual scenes already, maybe you should look into that. I feel like some of the houses that we went through in Universal might have been, they were great high budget scenes that we were walking through, but I feel like it could have been scarier if it was individualized sounds versus one big soundtrack.
I didn't pay attention to the soundtrack, but you're right.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they did. So, like, if you go to Disneyland and you go on any of their rides, there's multiple soundtracks.
Yeah.
And for the same reason we're just discussing, it makes it feel like more of an experience and ties into like a story. But you're right, it wasn't.
It was always like the one sound playing over you
cutter.
the whole time. Now they were different. Every house had a different, but that's how it was. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And I had a good time down there. I really did. Like we went to not Scary Farm, and we went to Universal Horror Nights, and I had a very good time. But you guys did just as good as they did.
Yeah.
With your one haunt, you really did.
I think that sometimes the home haunts are the scarier ones. Or you know, when you go through some place like Universal Studios or whatever. Six Flags, whatever. You're expecting a high budget haunt.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to really be impressed with the animatronics and that because you're expecting it.
Yeah.
When you're going through a home haunt and somebody has a drop window that works perfectly every time, that's impressive to me because. If you've ever built a drop window, you know how hard it is to get them to work every single time.
Function a drop window, you know how hard it is to get it to work every single time.
Right. So, and you got to, to get the props to work properly at a home haunt, it's extremely impressive to me because I know the work that goes behind the scenes, and so I like going through the home haunts.
I do
more
too.
So.
I grew up going to like the Universal and Not Scary Farm and Six Flags and all of those because I was in Southern California and I would much rather go to small haunt.
Yeah.
Like I got it was you went just for the fun of it. Like you knew you might get scared by the actors, but everything else was just for the fun of it, and you were going to go ride the rides or you were going to go just enjoy the night there, but it wasn't going to be the same as like you come to a little haunt, you're going to get scared.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what their production's like. You don't know how the actors are going to be, what they have in there anyways. Like, you have no clue what it's going to be.
Right.
It's not, like, advertised everywhere where it's, like, Universal's like, oh, we have this one. We have that one. We have this one. And you're like, oh, okay.
I felt kind of safe there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Another difference that I felt was the actors there... Maybe it's not their passion, it's their job, you know? Whereas if you come to a smaller scaled haunt, like, or not even just not something that's as commercialized, it is, like, the actors that are in there, like, that's their passion. That is what they're invested in doing. So I feel like you get a different feel for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get a different feel for the haunt, too. One thing that I was thinking about when we were thinking about sounds, I don't know who all was there, but there was, and maybe they do it every year, but one year I went through at Transworld, and it was a headset, like a guided headset that guided you through the haunted house. So you didn't even have to worry about sounds and stuff in the room because it was all in your on your little Walkman that you used as you walk through. And
Hmm.
I think that that's kind of cool. Like I kind of want to circle back to that idea for our haunt, for our own haunt.
We talked about it. I want to say that I remember that, but that once again, it's a huge expense, and if somebody takes off with the,
It's going to happen.
Well, the
it's
problem
gonna
now
happen,
is you'd have to now, especially post-COVID, like everything has to be completely sanitized. You have to have somebody responsible, which isn't hard. I mean, they do it for the what are they called, like 4D rides or 5D rides or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it happens all the time. But I thought it was really cool. It's been so long ago because I don't remember doing it the last couple of years. So it must have been like maybe 10 years ago that I walked through and seen, but you wear a headset and everything was just programmed onto the thing. So it knew where you were, when you were. The lights were even programmed to where you were. It was really cool. So
you
something.
talking about sounds though, just to reiterate how important they really are. When you brought up Transworld, it reminded me of this. You actually went in this, and they would not get me into it because I'm claustrophobic. But there's one. They had an exhibit where it was a casket, and you got inside the casket.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did it vibrate too? Do you remember? I think it vibrated.
It goes through a whole storyline, and it's really he hasn't been there the last few years.
But all she did was lay in the casket, and so and it's dark in there, right? You didn't see anything, but
no, it's completely dark.
But he had a camera on her, so we could see her reaction on a computer screen, and the storyline. She's just listening to a storyline. She's just laying there. Storyline's going on. But every now and then, like somebody would drop her or whatever, and I want to say that it moved. Did
it does
move?
move. It's like a 4D ride type.
Yeah, so
thing.
it's not exactly just sound, but it's majority just a storyline going through.
Sound
It's
that's
just whatever's
playing,
in your head in
Yeah.
the dark.
Yeah, the sound that's playing, it's grave diggers that are lower. They're driving you,
my goodness.
and then they're lowering you, and then like you're thinking to yourself like this is just their job. Like your whole life is done. But this is just their job, and they could care less. They're dropping you. Like they're throwing dirt on you, talking about the drama that they're having with their wife or whatever. Like no care in the world.
Interesting.
I know. I want to do that psychologically. That's
There was no way. There was no way. You're not even going to get me in a casket when I'm dead.
right.
I want to be in a tomb.
That's how Chris is. He wants what do they call them? Mausoleums.
Mausoleum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was very much like that, but they're so expensive. I just can't bring myself to invest in that while I'm alive. So hopefully my kids make some money.
and they choose it for you. They're like, okay, Mom wanted the mausoleum.
Chris in the service, so he gets to be, if we're tight on money, he's just getting buried on one of the, where do they bury you when you're in the service? I don't know. They got
Throw 'em out of an airplane?
cemeteries. Yeah,
Military.
One of the military
Burial at
plots.
sea?
Yeah.
He's in
Throw
the
'em out
Coast
to
Guard.
sea,
He's in the
they're
Coast
like-
Guard, so he's going to the bottom of the ocean.
Yep.
They just tie some weights on him and throw his body out there.
What are you going to do, Gary?
Oh, I'm not dying.
Oh, okay. That's a good
I'm gonna live
plan.
He's gonna live forever.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. I'm on year 45. Coming up to 46. Nothing's stopping me now.
Right?
I'm already dead, so we're fine.
Oh my god. I'm hoping I make it to 100.
Some of those
I
seizures.
want
are
to try to
pretty
make it to 100. I'm off to a bad start.
Yeah, you're going to have to stop the
I'm
McDonald's.
going to stop the McDonald's and all that.
McDonald's app diet.
Yeah, no.
No, you don't know. You look at these 100-year-olds. They're like, so what do you do? How are you doing this? Well, I wake up in the morning and I have some Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
There's some chain-smoking
Cigarettes.
cigarettes.
Right?
I live on whiskey and cigarettes.
I gotta pull up this link, but there's this man in New Orleans, and I may have talked about this on the podcast before, but we're talking about it now, so I'm going to share. He was 113 years old. He was still walking the street he was like the neighborhood watch guy. He'd bring in your trash cans at the end of the, every week. Do you know what took him out? Freaking house fire. How do you live to be 113 and die in a house
That
fire?
sucks.
Like, and it wasn't old age, it wasn't poor health.
It's not like he could just jump out of bed and run.
I guess.
He's 113 years old. What are you expecting from the
What a
guy?
horrible way to die. Like,
Right?
I don't
He's
know.
like, I made it this far.
My best friend from high school, her stepdad died in a house fire a couple of years ago too, and that's just such
It just
a
boggles my
horrible
mind.
way.
You know what I've been doing, and I really need to stop it, is I like coffee in the morning, right? So I've been turning on the coffee pot before I go to bed.
No, goodness.
No.
And maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
They have them with timers now. You know that, right?
Yeah, you do know that,
You
Gary.
can set
House
it.
fire, $20 for a coffee pot.
Oh my
timer.
gosh, you are so...
Which one?
I know. I better get it. I better get one with the timer. I really should.
Impending doom
Because
or
because
$20.
I'm not going to wake up one day. I'll be
No.
dead from smoke inhalation. I won't get to enjoy coffee at all.
No.
Hopefully that the smoke takes you before the flames
Well,
start
I
burning
think that's
you.
what they normally say happens.
I
Is you
hope
die from
so.
smoke inhalation.
Hopefully. What do you mean?
Hopefully.
That sounds worse to me. Choking to death on smoke.
I don't want to burn to death.
I
Like,
don't want
don't
to
know.
die, but I mean, if you're gonna, I don't know. Whatever.
when I was younger, I had a really big fear of being not necessarily how and I know it's a common fear. And it's not I wasn't afraid at all of how I die, but it was just the thought of just being dead. And now I see my 5-year-old; she struggles with that a lot. She'll be like, we'll just be driving down the road, and she's, Mom, I don't want to die. I'm like, oh, baby, just calm down. We're not dying right now, so
I
fine.
was convinced I was going to be stabbed to death.
Oh,
I kept having dreams when I was a kid that
oh my goodness.
I had dreams that someone broke into my house and then chased me down the street and stabbed me.
goodness.
And I would have these dreams all the time, and it was just the weirdest dreams.
No,
I was convinced for the longest time. I was like, oh, that's how I'm gonna die.
As an adult, and I know adult scare, I know the real world is scary. Now I have dreams of, not dreams, I just have a feeling my house is going to get invaded someday. But no, as a child, I never had dreams I was going to get stabbed. But I did sleep comfortably with a knife under my pillow for a few years, It was a toy knife.
What do you mean, huh? I never
He's
knew
like, I
this.
didn't know
What
anything
about-
about
Your dad's like, here, baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
he
Hello.
did.
Sleep with
I'm not. You don't
want the
remember that
butcher's
little rubber
knife here?
This was mine
under
when
my
I was a
pillow?
child.
Yes.
That was there for protection?
Yes.
You didn't realize that it was rubber at the time?
No, I
What
knew
do you-
it was rubber,
You think
but
he was just
you
going to
guys
slap
just
him to death with?
Listen, we had to do that because of the aliens.
And when
tinfoil hat?
Aliens that were coming into my room at night.
Okay, so let me just explain this to you guys real quick. Heather slept with us in our room on the floor till she was 23 years old. So this rubber knife under her pillow was actually in our room. So the rubber knife probably had a little bit to do with her sleeping safely, but I think it was more that she was sleeping with Mom and Dad.
She's like, I'm good now. Okay.
I don't think I was quite 23, but okay.
Pretty close.
Like,
You can say that all you want, and I can remember. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks back when Travis was sick in our house, and
yeah,
Heather would come over.
Yeah.
Heather come over. Well, what's he doing here? Well, what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he in the house?
Well, not just in the house, in their bed sleeping because he's sick. He's sick. My mom and dad are sleeping out in the living room because Travis is in their bed sick.
Never ever would that happen at my parents' house. Never. Ever.
No.
I would come over. I would come over sick, and they'd be like, "Well, don't get us sick."
Right?
No, you stay
go home. What are you coming home?
Right,
What are
take
you
care of
coming here for?
yourself.
Oh well.
Yeah, and I had a baby I was bringing over at the time, so I thought he needed to get up and go too, but they weren't seeing it that way. That was their baby.
No, they're like, no, it's Travis. He stays.
That's fun.
That's funny.
All right, so another thing about anyways, let's get over sounds for a minute.
It's important.
It's very important.
Don't just say it's important, Gary. If you were doing
Sounds.
it's not just important in the haunted industry. It's important in the scary movies. One of the shots you just sent over. We're doing a movie, and we're trying to make it scary. So if we're doing a scary movie, it's a sad and scary and suspenseful scene. You don't want happy music,
No,
right?
it's very important.
So it's not just having sounds. You got to make sure the sounds are fitting where you're putting it
Right.
too.
I will say that you sent the pizza scene over.
Mm-hmm.
The first one didn't have any sound to it. Well,
No.
I think it was just them.
It was me directing.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
yeah.
that's what
it
it
was
was.
Heather talking.
And then the
about
next one you sent
cheese.
over, it had the music, and,
Right.
and it did make
It makes a
it made
difference,
the
doesn't
scene.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We could have gone to a restaurant and shot this clip, and I'm going to post it on our on our page. But we could have gone to a restaurant, shot this clip, but we decided we're going to do it in front of the green screen, and he added the background, and he did all this extra work. But my mom was like, oh, you shot it in front of a green screen? And she thought, like, the pizza was green screened and everything. And she's like, it looks so real. Like, they're pulling apart. I hear you in the background saying, pull the pizza, smile. He's going to edit in the gooey cheese.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
yeah, that's why
So
she
she
thought
thought you
that.
edited. She thought just
Did
put
you
it-
add cheese?
No.
I was going to say, because it's kind of stuck together when they were
Just
No,
the
no,
back wall.
it wasn't-
Just the back wall.
This is what happened, is I called Gary up and I said, hey, Gary, I was going to get a pizza for the scene, but they were $4, the take and bake pizza. So I was like, I'm going to get a bunch of them and we'll just have pizza for lunch. So, hey, Gary, you got an oven? Can we use your oven? He's like, yeah, I got an oven. When we get there, he's like, well, my house is kind of not really, no, we're not going to use my oven. I'm like, okay.
So here's what happened, right? About a week ago, the water pipe under the sink started leaking, so I turned the water off to it. And I'm busy, right? I got a job and blah, blah, blah. And it was during Christmas and all that. I just didn't fix it. And so as I'm not fixing it, I'm not running the dishwasher, because I'm not running the dishwasher, like, every single thing got dirty. And I realized once they got there, I was like, I don't even have a pan clean for these.
I bought
pizzas.
pans and everything, Gary.
Did you bring pans?
Yeah, I didn't come
Oh, I missed that part.
prepared.
Well, we could have put pizza then.
So we
So
could
go ahead, go make them.
We all could have had pizza. She wouldn't have had to go to Taco Bell.
Oh, my
I spent
God.
a lot of money at Taco
You know.
Bell.
All right.
We
So just give Gary the bill.
yeah.
Oh, great.
Gary's fault. All of it's Gary's fault.
I won't do that. But so we didn't get to cook the pizza in the oven, so we had to microwave this pizza because he has a microwave out in his green screen studio. And
For some reason, in the back of my mind, I'm seeing Gary out there with a pizza and a lighter.
A
So when they went to,
Yeah.
so
Don't
then,
worry, we got it. We
We
got
We
it.
could have.
when
Sorry,
I'm trying to
green.
cut it, I'm like, it's rubbery microwave pizza. And so it didn't cut all the way through, and we didn't know until they go to pull it apart for the scene. So
It made the scene.
But it
made the scene.
and it
Really
did
know.
work perfectly.
We should
That
have-
it was
So good
3
job, Gary.
slices
Thank
stuck
you.
together.
Thank you. My laziness made that scene better.
See that?
It
It
did.
worked.
And it was the perfect amount of slices.
you think
Like,
you can
they
add
all
some
stuck
cheese
together.
to it?
Oh, God.
Some cheese.
I can, but that was already.
He said 3 hours
3
for
hours,
that
I
little
think.
scene.
That was my fault, though, because I guess I was just tired. And so I was messing around, because I'm still messing around with the AI program. I'm still messing around with, like, content aware fill, like, trying to figure out what is the best tool to make the job go faster, right?
Yeah.
So I imported the scene into the AI program. You could only load up, I think, a maximum of 10 seconds. So I actually was like, okay, well, this is the worst clip. And what I'm talking about is when you're running green screen, you normally have tracking markers, right? So you have one on your left, you have one dead ahead, you have one on your right, and you want it at different angles. And whatever angle you have the camera is, so if you have a low angle, you want the higher tracking marker. So and you just camera angles, so everything looks like it sticks to your subjects and your objects. So we did that. So I had to remove the tracking data, the tracking marker, which for us is just a piece of blue electrical tape on a green background, and I stuck it into the AI, and it didn't do good. You got to mess around with it a few times. It's like, okay, I can do something else. So I just did it the old-fashioned way, and I sent it into After Effects, and I used content aware fill, and even that was just doing it weird. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way, which is where you make a mask and you put your background in. And I was like done within like 30 minutes just by doing that, moving the mask around. So sometimes the old ways are quicker than
Trying
the
to do
new
it
automated ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it took 3 hours. But at this point, I'm like, okay, we're just going to do it this way from now on. Just I'll make a mask, put the background in, we'll
Holiday.
feather it out.
So when I did a media production class for a couple years in high school, and we had a really fancy studio, but it was a blue screen. Does it?
Yeah, you can use blue screen. There's nothing wrong with blue screen. I'm
you-
trying to remember, though, because I don't use blue screen, but I learned about it a few months ago, and there really is a reason why you would use blue screen nowadays, whether versus a green screen. And for the life of me, I just cannot remember what that reason is. But in the program I'm using, which is Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, there's a setting that you could actually click where you want to actually use green screen, and it actually changes the program to chroma key out your colors differently than it would to be just a green screen. And I just can't remember why, though.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, I don't. It's all over my head, so I don't really gotcha. But
Something like that.
When
It's not
I
that
used
hard.
to be
It's a lot of trial and
so
error.
savvy at all that stuff, and now I'm just like, I got a friend that does that, and I'll call Gary and say, hey, can you do this for me?
Just push it off onto him.
He's
It's
really
fine.
good at it. He made Sober Dave and Bobby go on Sober Dave and his wife have been together for 25 years and counting, and they don't have a picture of the two of them alone together. So we had to like make a picture of the two of them.
Yeah, Janice sent me a picture. They were at a swim meet with their son. Their son was in the middle, and I had to cut their son out and then adjust their arms a little bit to look like they were actually like hugging each other.
Like they actually liked each other?
Like they
Yeah.
like each other.
And then we put
That
them
must have
in.
been difficult to do.
It was. Bobby kept getting angry. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm kidding.
He put him in Paris, and then
Yeah.
Dave's seen the picture. He's like, I don't remember taking that picture. He's like, do you remember going to Paris? And I'm like, no.
Do you remember that trip? I don't know.
He's so funny. All right, so changing subjects. Okay, let's talk about Ouija boards. So, have you ever played a Ouija board? Say aye. Aye.
No.
Never.
What?
Okay, I
You
wouldn't.
guys are lucky you're not cursed.
I cannot do it now. I would not do
No.
it.
I built a Ouija board,
No.
Yeah.
and I accidentally left out the N.
Okay, that's a good thing.
So I
That's a good
guess.
thing. No,
but
it's
I-
a good thing.
Why did
Yeah.
you build a Ouija
So
board?
we
Yeah,
had
Because
um,
I'm not good at spelling.
we had a
why did
family
you
member
build
one time
Not
tell
why
us
did you- Oh, okay.
we had a family member one time tell us that they bought this house. It was an old rental house. That it was an old fixer upper, and they went in there. He said that he had one of those automated vacuum cleaners, and it was kind of dirty. So they were going to doing some work in there. So they let that little vacuum cleaner go, and then when they pulled up the rug.
Oh,
They
no.
pulled up the rug.
No.
It was painted Ouija board underneath it.
Oh my god.
And I'm laughing. I said,
Wow.
that thing
It's all
summoned
spelling
something.
out
Sell
words.
that house now.
Oh, wow.
Sell that house now.
The vacuum itself is just spelling out
Right.
words and you have no idea.
I said,
You're
you
like,
don't know what you just did, dude.
You're like, why is our vacuum going in
Yeah.
such weird directions?
Oh,
It's
do you
just
know that-
like.
Do you know that Ouija is actually trademarked? So if you can't actually make a Ouija board unless you're
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can make a
I didn't
spirit
know that.
board.
Yeah, spirit board or a talking board or a witch board are acceptable other names.
Yeah.
But Ouija board is technically trademarked by who?
Parker
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Hasbro.
That's what I was going to say. Hasbro,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
So I didn't think anything of it because they sold it at Toys R Us. So why would you not be allowed? So when I brought it home in high school and he's like flipping, you're not playing this. I'm like, why? I literally bought it for $10 at Toys R Us. What are you worried about? And it was a big fight, but no, we played it. And of course, I think at the time it probably was like one of us moving it or whatever. But I had a boyfriend when I was in my early 20s
That's
late
great,
teens,
Heather.
Yeah.
once.
Once.
But he was
That one guy.
obsessed with his Ouija board. Like it took over. He would rush home from work to get on and talk.
Yeah,
By
see,
himself?
that's too much. That's
No, him and
too
his
much.
brother, and I'd sit in the background because I was so nervous. But yeah, there was definitely like the case. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
no.
Well, okay, so
No.
you were there. Like, what happened? Anything?
No, it was very like I could see how obsessed. Like he thought whatever was going on was real, and the brother thought whatever was going on was real. And this was back when, oh my goodness, it's not. There was something new that came out. It wasn't weed, but something else, and it made people with ADHD
Spice?
trip out.
Was it spice?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it the stuff they could
Somebody
sell
is
in the-
out there screaming this too.
Right?
I don't know. I want to say stevia.
Stevia. I was just
Oh,
thinking
okay,
that.
okay,
What,
okay.
what grows in people's yards sometimes, right? It's
Salvia.
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 Stevia's sugar. That's why I know.
Salvia.
Okay.
Yeah, we're smoking stevia.
Yeah. Ooh.
So I went to
Far side know
yes,
what it
this
is.
was before like pot was legal in California. So anyways, this was legal.
Yeah.
So they went and the brother started just tripping out, but he did have ADHD. So I thought, okay, well that says it's a side effect. So maybe, but no, it got scary. It got really scary. So we stopped doing it. I don't feel like anybody got possessed, but I definitely don't. Both of their personalities, I don't think either one of them were faking the movement of it either. So
Yeah.
no.
Well, we had one, and it was my mom's. My mom still has this thing, and I keep trying to get rid of it, and then it'll randomly be back again. I'm like, why? Why is this thing back? She's had it since she was a kid, so it's one from like the 50s, 60s, and it's so. But we had it when I was, when I was a kid, and started playing with it. And, like when I was really young, of course, we'd just be like, and then I'd get like creeped out and I'd be like, okay, we're putting this away. Like,
oh, no.
and it'd just be me and my sister and we'd just be like, And then I started having weird experiences, and then I got like the weirdest thing that ever happened to me in my life that scared me so bad, and then I wouldn't touch one ever again.
What happened? Sure.
It was me and my friend were at home. My mom and my little sister had just left. Like, my mom had knocked on I was in my bedroom, and my mom had knocked on the door and said, like, I'm taking Tracy to the store. Do you need anything? Yada, yada. And I was like, no. So I knew she left. I knew she took my little sister, because my youngest sister is 6 years younger than me. So she wouldn't have left her with me. I was, like, probably 11 at the time. So, like, she definitely went in a state with me, 11 or 12. And we sat there and we were playing with the Ouija board. And, like, it felt like the whole house just got, like, dark.
Oh, no.
Like, negatively dark. And all our hair, like, it still gives me the creeps. Just talking about it just gives me the creeps. And it was like, it felt so weird. And then we heard somebody knock on my door, on my bedroom door, and it sounded exactly like my little sister talking, because she used to ask me to make her grilled cheeses all the time. And she was like, Sarah, can you make me a grilled cheese? And I responded without thinking, and I was like, yeah, in a minute. And then I was like, my sister's not here.
Oh, no. I did not have somebody talking to me.
And
no.
I was like,
and
I
are
was
you sure you weren't on that?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I wasn't on salvia or stevia.
Stevia.
But we were sitting there, and both of us were like, she's not here.
Oh, I've never
She's
heard
not
of
here. And we both just, like, freaked out. And we went out, and we walked around the house really quickly, and, like, the whole house just felt so bad. And we just both, like, screamed and ran out of the house. And she lived up the street from me, so she literally booked it all the way up the street. And then I ran to my neighbor's house, and I sat on her front porch, and she came out, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I'm scared. I don't want to
follow
go.
Your friend home?
I was like, I don't want to go in my
back
house.
in my house.
And a couple minutes later, I see my mom driving back up, and she has my little sister in the car.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yep, no, not touching one anymore.
You're
like,
lucky that
I'm
it
good.
stopped there, or did it stop?
Oh,
there?
no, it didn't stop there. Like, the house stayed pretty damn haunted after that.
Oh,
Like,
I don't
it
that.
was...
I do feel like if there's something communicating with you, I just don't feel like it's good. Like,
No.
they're gonna pretend to be good to get you sucked in, which is what I was telling the boyfriend at the time. I was like, I feel like you're getting so sucked into this. Like, you could just tell it was like taking over. I mean, he wasn't like that normally, but he just could not wait to whatever we were doing. I just want to get back to the Ouija board, like whatever we were doing. I don't know.
Yeah,
so I'm like, oh, that's weird. It's like
weird.
taking over here, but he wasn't like that on normally. So maybe there was a little possession. I don't know what's going on.
And like, I learned later, like as I got older and like learned more about like stuff, they say that like when they talk to you, it's a mimic, and you're not supposed to respond to them because they will stay and like talk to you more and more and more. And like, I was like, oh cool. So I just kind of let the thing into my house and then talked to it.
Yeah.
And now it's in my house.
And
then that house stayed really haunted. It was really, really bad. And then I found out years and years later, my mom also used that Ouija board to try and get lotto numbers.
Oh goodness. Did it? And
I was like,
did it work? Or
no, it never worked. It never once worked. We had to make that one stop.
That's crazy.
So how did you make it stop?
We tried to hide the Ouija board.
Oh.
We had to be like, you cannot do this. You cannot do this. Like, we were like, no.
Like Jumanji, they keep burying it and it just keeps showing back up.
Showing back up.
I just learned today at church that on Friday it was like $1 billion. You guys could have been billionaires.
I know, right? If it would give us the real answers, it would be great.
Maybe too soon.
But
so
no.
I used to live at when I was younger, I was very fortunate with a job at a bed and breakfast, and I had the best gig in the whole wide world because all I had to do is I got to sit there, do my homework while I was in college, doing my college work, and check people in on the weeknights, and then on the weekends, make breakfast for the people because the cook was off. But they gave me a little apartment at the bed and breakfast, so they had a bed and breakfast on the big house, and then they had a cottage in the back, and then he made an apartment underneath the cottage for me to live in.
Wow.
And the payment was, I got paid for 30 hours a week instead of 40. So they just took 10 hours a week off my paycheck. Whatever. That was fine. I liked it. At the time, you had actual phones, so it came with landline, it came with cable, like everything was included in that. So it was a really good gig. The internet was just like, we were just getting out of dial-up internet, so like, that's where we were at. Anyways, this one group, now that I've gone on like ghost hunting experiences and stuff, I don't know that they were ghost hunting the right way, but they were coming into we didn't know at the time, because the owner of the house and the bookkeeper who was the manager, she probably never would have allowed them to book to do a ghost hunting thing, because that wasn't something that they were really big on. But they booked the house because they wanted the whole house because they wanted to do a ghost hunting video documentary thing. They were a little bit, they weren't the normal type of people that we were used to seeing at that time at this place. They weren't our everyday customers. We had they just weren't our everyday customers. But they were nice. They paid. I checked them in. I went out to dinner. I came back home from dinner and there was a voicemail click, because I'm down in the cottage underneath, but it still will show us if we have messages. So I check the messages before I go to bed. And they were asking for more towels or more something. They needed more something up in their room. And they were in the cottage right above me. Can you bring it up to me when you get back? Yeah. So I went up, took them their extra towels, and as I'm knocking on the door, I see candles everywhere, a Ouija board in the middle of the thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm interrupting a seance right now.
Yeah.
And I was. And then he's always been like, oh yeah, you were, and then the spirits are on their way up and they just got stuck right in your apartment.
Yeah, because you interrupted.
You
They go all the
interrupted,
way to
they
the
gotta go all the
cottage,
way
they
there.
stopped in the apartment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was weird things that went on in that apartment after those people left. I mean, like crazy things. There was things where I would hear. I didn't experience anything crazy until after those people showed up. And then we were seeing things, hearing things, but we would hear I would be laying in bed and I would hear like creaking coming from my closet. One time I swear on everything that's important to me, I heard somebody's knee pop. Like I heard it sounded like a knee pop. And I freaked out. Somebody was in my closet and I called the cops. And the cops came and looked through. And they're like, no, nothing's in here. Everything's fine. I'm like, I don't know. I promise you there was somebody in my closet. There was nobody. Their only way in was through my front door into that whole house. So nobody came in. But
Well, I wouldn't doubt it, because they say Ouija boards, like if you open them and you don't close them, you just made a little portal for
sure.
everything to come in.
Like a black hole?
Yeah, pretty much a black hole for all the spirits to come through.
We know everything about black holes
Yep.
now.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
Yes, Danny Jenny introduced us to that chaos.
No.
I remember you guys, I can't remember what year it was, but there was one year where we had like the witches scene, where we had her doing the seance in the room, and remember she had the black going around her, and we had her sitting in the middle with the Ouija board.
I seen this on the video. It must have been in one of the years I wasn't here. 2018 was the year I didn't
Maybe.
come.
I think it was maybe that year. But I just remember, I remember the Ouija board being brought in, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. I said straight no. I was like, I don't want this board. Because I was the one that was like decorating through those rooms and, like helping decorate through the rooms and everything. And I was like, please let's not have this in here.
Yeah.
And I remember I took it and I hid it. And I was like, no. I was like, let's not do this. And I remember one of the actors found it, took it back in there, and then we like walked by, and they were in there messing with it, and they were doing like their own little thing on the Ouija board, and I was like, why? I was like, where did you even find it? Like I had hid it so well. I was like, how'd you even find it?
Why would you guys, how come, like you men, why men would you not be interested in doing this when you were younger? You just were raised with morals and values.
I was
and you just
outside.
stay away from that?
They
I
were
don't know. It just never
outside.
even crossed my mind. I was doing other things.
I was going to say, I was rebuilding cars or...
Yeah, I was
You weren't hanging out with little witch girls
No.
and playing Ouija boards.
riding bikes with my friends. And
I was doing those things too.
So
but-
I don't know what I was doing. I don't know, but we would write it out and like I said, I think at this time it was just like one of us moving and messing with it, but we would write it out on paper and then get like a shot glass, and that was what
Oh,
would move it
yeah,
around.
yeah, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it would work.
But nothing crazy ever happened then until we got older. The craziest thing was, well, one, breaking up that seance, and two, I feel like there was something definitely a little bit like a little possession thing with the boyfriend, because that was a little crazy.
Because if they're like obsessed about
Yeah, it was
going back
really
to
crazy.
it, that's just weird. Like, why would you just be like, I have to go play with the Ouija board?
I don't
Like,
know.
That
It was
is
really
that is
weird.
different.
yeah. It's not like it's that fun and exciting.
It wasn't,
It's,
and I would sit and watch it, and it wasn't. But whatever it was, he would just ask questions. He had to know more. Now they have the apps on the phone, and I don't like those at all. And I've shared with you guys before, but it's kind of similar. You ask a question, and it'll give an answer. And
Like
they
ghost
had
talk
this
ones?
girl at the party barn. Her grandma had just passed away, and she was convinced she could talk to her grandma through that ghost app.
Oh,
And
that's
I was
sad.
like,
I mean-
no, we're not doing that.
I mean, that'd be, I guess, okay if it was true, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was like,
I think
oh,
it's
no,
wishful
that's not.
thinking.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is wishful
I don't know. In my day, we had a magic 8-ball.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Were you allowed to play it, or was it?
Well, yeah.
I feel like
It had like 7 answers. That was
Yeah,
all-
you
That's
know?
all you
Well,
could get out of it.
Try
I'm
again
kind of
later,
thinking
try
like
again
in
later.
Chris's
Yeah.
family, parts of Chris's family, that might have been something banned too. Like nothing that's fortune telling or whatever is allowed. So I don't even know that magic 8-balls would have been allowed.
Allowed.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been taboo.
On that note, director Gary, share with us your horror movie of the week.
Oh boy!
Yes.
All right, so we are on to Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 4, which has nothing to do with 3, 2, or 1.
Oh.
no.
Wait, give us your star rating first.
You know you changed it.
You know, I
last
had a
week.
lot of mixed emotions about this movie. I watched it today. I made it about halfway through and decided to fast forward,
No.
and, which says a lot.
He's
for me.
gonna
still
That-
give it a
That
5.
says a whole lot for me. And then I felt kind of bad, so on the way over here, well, I've got about like an hour drive out here, I thought, well, I can finish the half hour or whatever's left of it. So I actually listened to it as I drove out here, and would I watch it again in one setting? Probably not. It wasn't a bad movie. It had some good parts to it that I did like, but for the most of this film, I just didn't care. Like, there was nothing that drew me in. It was predictable. Like, you knew what was happening for like the first 10 minutes. You're like, oh, okay. So let's go ahead and start, right? So the film opens up to a homeless Clint Howard. Now, if you're not familiar with Clint Howard, he is the younger brother of Ron Howard, who was on the Andy Griffith Show. And Clint Howard has been in quite a few horror movies and always playing this creepy, kind of dirty.
Yeah, because he looks like a
Creepy guy.
creepy guy.
He does look like a creepy guy. I have talked to Clint, and he has been nothing but nice.
Nice.
So a little eccentric, that's for sure. So all right, so Clint Howard is a homeless, dirty, homeless guy, and it starts off with him looking down at a gutter, and he's like, a hamburger, and he opens it up, and he looks disappointed. No cheese, and he starts eating it. Right.
So is he? What is he? What is he? Is he Ricky then, or what is he?
No, Ricky's gone.
No.
This is completely different. Ricky has. This is a whole new
thing.
Whole new thing. Shouldn't even be titled Deadly Night, Silent Night. Has nothing to do with Ricky. Completely
Something
new
else.
story that just happens to all eventually takes place on Christmas Eve.
Oh.
It's the only reason it's called Silent Night, Deadly Night.
4.
Four. Yeah, 4.
They had to throw that in there.
So as he's eating this hamburger that's already been partially eaten, he looks up because we hear a scream, and we're in a city, by the way. And as he looks up, this lady rushes to the top of a building, looks down, bursts into flame, and jumps and falls to her death onto the concrete, where Clint walks up and gives it an odd look and sticks his hand into the burning body cavity of the lady who jumped, and then is shocked that his hand got burnt. From there, we start hearing sirens, and he runs to an alley, and he peeks around the corner of the alley, around the building, and watches the lady burn. And that brings us into the opening credits of a bunch of spirals floating around the screen with the titles going around the spirals. And some of the titles looked very, Microsoft Word 1998 kind of looking, just not good. Okay, so we watch this, which goes on for a little over a minute, and we cut to a couple watching a news report of the woman burned. Now they're doing this as they are having the sex.
Oh goodness!
This scene was completely pointless. It goes on and on and on, and they're doing the thing, right? There's nudity and all that, and finally the lady, who we find out is named Kim. Though at one point, I swear to God, they call her Janice. So watch it and find out. But so maybe her name is Janice in real life. I don't know. I'm going to have to look.
Yes.
So they call her Kim, and Kim goes, wait. And she's watching this lady, and they're showing a news report of the lady who got burnt. And the guy's like, we don't want to watch that. And he turns the channel, and it's pornography. So I don't know what stations they've got, but apparently there's pornography.
That doesn't happen when you change your channel?
Huh?
That doesn't happen when you change your channel?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it does not. And so, then they start like doing the stuff again. All right, so cut to the couple. So that whole scene was pointless, right? By the way, I mean it was just like why it didn't have to be in there. Filler.
Yeah,
Oh, there's
filler.
a lot of filler in this movie. Cut to the not as much filler as the last one, but this one definitely. Cut to the couple outside. And they're talking and walking about stuff we don't care, and it's totally irrelevant. And then the next thing you know, it's something about the woman meeting his parents for the first time, and then it cuts to them both in an office setting, and we realize they both work for a newspaper. The woman is arguing about wanting to investigate about the woman who spontaneously combusted and jumped to her death. Now, how they knew she spontaneously combusted, I don't know, because I'm sure when the police got there, she was already on fire onto her death. So anything could have happened. Like somebody could have set her on fire and she jumped, or maybe she set herself on fire and jumped. But no, we jumped immediately to spontaneous combustion. And her boss looks at her and says, "No, because you're a girl. And go get me some coffee." I just kind of summed up. That is what happens. She announces once he closes the door, "Well, I'm going to investigate it anyways." So she leaves what she's supposed to be doing, and she's walking around town looking for people to interview, which she doesn't do. And she comes across what we see all the time downtown, which is a quarter machine on a street corner full of peanuts. She puts in her quarter. She's trying to operate the machine. She can't get it for some reason. And suddenly, there's a butcher. And he's this big, fat man. No offense, dude. And he's covered in gore. Like, butchers normally don't look like this. But he's got blood all over his hands. And he's just walking the street. And he goes, "Let me help you." And he turns the dial and gets her peanuts. There's blood all over the
like
peanuts
our
now.
butcher in our scene.
Yeah.
Looks just like that,
actually,
Gary.
yes.
But not a real butcher.
And he hands her the bloody peanuts, but he keeps them for himself, and he's eating the peanuts. And so she decides, I should interview this person. And she asks him about the lady who jumped, and he goes, "I'll bet she was a hooker." And so from there, she takes that bit of information and does whatever with it, and walks down the street to a bookstore, where in this bookstore, she realizes, I could probably buy a book on spontaneous combustion. Now, I don't know if you've been to your local Barnes & Nobles or any bookstore for that matter, but I highly doubt there's probably any books on spontaneous combustion, but this bookstore happens to have one. So as she's in there, all of a sudden there's Clint Howard again, and Clint sneaks up behind her, and she looks over, she goes, "Ah!" And Clint goes, "Ah!" And Clint runs out of the store, and the book owner lady comes in, and she goes, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's just a little mentally unwell. What can I help you find?" She goes, "Well, I'm looking for a book on spontaneous combustion. I'll help you with that." And it's just right there on the shelf in front of her, and gives her the book, and they start talking about who cares, and they go to the front, and she starts checking her out, and she's like, "Would you like a date?" And she's got a little thing of dates, and she goes, "Oh yes, I haven't had lunch yet." Like, that's not gonna help. And so she eats that little date, and when you look at this date, it is the most greasy, slimy looking piece of fruit that should not go into her mouth, but she eats it anyways. You'll find out in this film that she's pressured into doing a lot of things. It didn't take much for this lady. And so she chews it.
She's easy.
She chews it, but there's a close-up of her eating it, and you just know something's got to be wrong with that fruit. And so she eats it, she buys her book, and the bookstore lady is like, "Hey, why don't you meet up with me and my friends tomorrow at the park, and we'll have a little picnic?" And she's like, "Sure, that sounds great. Never mind, you're supposed to be at work, like you're supposed to be at work right now. Instead, you're out walking around eating bloody peanuts and dates and finding things to do when you're supposed to be at work."
It's a bookstore that has books on spontaneous combustion.
Well,
How busy were they? One customer.
There was actually many people in there.
Really?
Yeah,
Back in the
they had a lot of
day,
extras.
bookstores were busy.
A lot of extras in there. All right. Let's see. In the
I feel like they might have been
meantime,
actors.
in the meantime, they're talking about spontaneous combustion. She's like, "Well, let me let you into the building because it just so happens I live in the building." She's like, "No way." So she lets the bookstore owner.
Sounds ridiculous.
The bookstore owner leaves her shop, lets another lady take care of it, who now that I'm thinking about it, might have been named Kim also. And they go
Or
into the
Janice.
thing. So she goes up, somehow the bookstore lady then disappears, and our main character walks up to the top of the building and looks around, and she sees where the lady must have jumped from. And she climbs up on the edge herself, and she looks down, and we see a silhouette of a lady who burned up on the sidewalk. It's just this big scorch mark. Now she's up there, and she starts to get dizzy, so we know what that means. It was probably from that fruit. And she starts to almost fall, but she doesn't fall. And she gets back. And then we see Clint Howard, who happens to be up on the roof, and he's watching her, but she doesn't seem to notice Clint, even though he's right there. And he hears something coming from a random pipe that has no business being on top of a roof. It serves no function, but there's a pipe up there. And he reaches his hand down this stovepipe-looking pipe, and he pulls out a gigantic slug/cockroach.
Oh.
Yep.
Slug roach?
Yeah, pretty much. So anyways,
Was it a chimney?
I don't know.
Maybe you should.
It was a random pipe. This was not a vent pipe. It looked like a stove. Looked like dryer vent.
Oh.
Right? No. It was placed up there for Clint Howard to pull out a slug creature. Okay, that's what's happening.
That's
And
the
like,
only
they won't
reason.
ask questions.
Cut to her apartment, and she's in her kitchen. Her sink is full of roaches, so she grabs spray. She's spraying the roaches. The phone rings, and it's her boyfriend. And he's all, "Where you be? I can't believe you ghosted. I'm summing up." Then there's
Wait a
more
minute,
roaches.
they used the word ghosted in this thing?
I'm really summing up.
Where you be?
Then there's more roaches. And so, we're getting pretty more
common theme with
sure
these
that
roaches.
she was drugged, right? And so she doesn't pick up. The answer machine caught it. And then it calls again. And she's like, "Oh, fine. I'm on my way." Even though there's like roaches all over the place and she might be hallucinating. All right. Cut to the boyfriend's parents' house where they are all drinking. And the boyfriend's dad tells a joke. "Do you know where all that beer goes? Neither do I." Then there is a discussion about her not being religious, and that just makes the dad really mad. And he actually says BS, and there's cussing and then blah 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 and tension, and then so it cuts to the couple leaving the parents' house, and they argue about him not sticking up for her in two different ways: not in front of the parents and not sticking up for her at work. Okay, cut to her coming to her apartment alone. Now there is a gigantic roach, like the size of a dog, and she attacks it with a broom, and then she runs to the bathroom and throws up, and when she throws up, a bug comes out, and then she passes out. Cut to the next day, and her friend is knocking on the door, who the friend actually works at the newspaper also. She knocks on the door, and she's basically saying, "Why aren't you at work?" And she goes, "Well, I don't feel good." So her friend's there. Apparently she doesn't care about her job either, and she starts cleaning up her friend's house. And as she's cleaning up her friend's apartment, Kim sits down, and that's when we realize Kim has had barf all down the front of her shirt the entire time her friend's been there, and never once thought about changing it, even though this is like a 5-minute scene. Then we cut to the lady at the bookstore, from the bookstore, and she is meeting her at the park. Now keep in mind, she's supposed to be at work. Her friend came over. "Why aren't you at work?" Instead, she's like, "I'm going to go to the park." So she goes to the park. And she sits down on a picnic bench with the bookstore lady and 3 other ladies. And you just know these ladies are witches, right? I mean, this is just the way they're talking. They're talking like they're kind of omnipotent and all this. And like, okay, you're a dork. Got it. And
Hey!
no, I mean, if you watch the film.
Okay.
You look at these
Or don't.
and you'll be
No,
like,
I don't actually want to watch
Yeah,
this film.
who's really the
I'm
dork?
really good on. I'm really good on not watching
these
this
are
film.
diva witches. And you just know they probably suck at being witches. But, yeah. And so they're sitting there, and they give her some tea, and she looks like she's getting a little swimmy, and you're like, oh, they drugged her again. and she lays back down on the grass, closes her eyes, and the coven of witches walk off near a lake, and they start discussing her. But we don't really know what they're discussing, right? And then all of a sudden, she opens up her eyes, and it's her boyfriend. And he's like, why aren't you at work? And she's like, I didn't want it. And he's like, come to work. And so she goes to work. She doesn't say bye to her new witch friends. All right. So cut. They're back to the office. And the boss says, hey, you know, your boyfriend, he came up to me and said, maybe I should reconsider. Even though you're a girl, I'm going to give you this story to work on the combustion lady about. Now, never mind, this has already been on the news. It's being already researched by the cops. People already know. But for the paper, they need to know, even though this is going to be really old news by the time she's done. And so she's kind of happy, but she doesn't say thank you or anything. She just goes, okay, and walks off. All right. That was it. Oh, no. She looks at her boyfriend and goes, how did you know where to find me early today? And he's like, well, you told your friend who also works here. And so she walks over and she goes, how did you know I was there at the park? And she goes, because you told me. And she goes, I don't think I did. That was it. And then...
I'm so confused. What happened?
So, well, it makes you wonder. How did she know? Even though it was told really badly by me and the film. Cut back to the building where the lady jumped. And there's more talking. Fast forward 190 seconds. And she's talking to the lady from the bookstore who just happens to be home that day. I guess it's her off day. And she gives her tea. And she's drinking the tea. She goes, oh, this is bitter. And she goes, oh, it's okay. Just keep drinking. And she goes, okay. If you don't like it, don't drink it. And then she goes, oh, I'm feeling a little nauseous. And the bookstore lady's like, oh, don't worry, it'll go away. And she's like, oh, okay. No, if it tastes bitter and it's nauseous, you're probably getting poisoned or something. Don't drink this.
I'm kind of concerned on how many times this person's been drugged and just willingly been drugged. Like,
well,
okay.
There is reasons, and these reasons don't make a lot of sense, but there is reasons. So 90 seconds of this, we're back on the roof. And as we're on the roof, she's investigating, even though she was just up there. Investigating again, and there's a spiral on the roof that she doesn't pay much attention to. And at that point, that's where I kind of shut off the movie. So now we're going off. We don't have notes anymore. And I'm in my car, and I'm driving here, and I feel a little bad that I didn't finish the movie. And I was like, okay. So we're watching the movie, and we're going to do this all from memory, which isn't going to work out that well because I have ADD and I was driving. So she, I don't know what happened after that, but then she goes to her apartment, and it's late. Oh, I know what happened. She somehow wound back up at the bookstore lady's house, and they drugged her again, and they took off her clothes, and then they put one of those slug creatures into her belly button, and then they killed a rat, and the blood got on her belly button, and they said, enter. And the slug that was already in her started to move around, and it came out of her mouth, and she's topless, and she starts trying to cough it out, and they're like, cough out your fear. And she coughs out the roach that lands on there, and then Clint Howard picks it up, and he cuts it in half, and he squeezes its jelly blood all over her face. Cut to her apartment. And she enters, and her boyfriend is there, and she's like, where have you been? Because, he was asleep. And she's like, give me my key back. And he's like, why? And she goes, because I'm nauseated, and I need some space, which made me think, my God, that's the exact same thing my ex said, and maybe she was a witch too.
Oh my God.
Because I came home one day, and she was like, give me my key. I need personal space. And I'm like, why? She's like, get out.
Maybe you were just a creep like
So I finally found out why she broke up with me.
No, maybe it was
She
you
was a
leaving
witch.
messages
Yeah,
going,
draining.
where you be?
She had a roach slug in her.
Is
That's
this
what
the same
happened.
girlfriend that's going to be listening to this show and she said
Yeah, well, beep her. Yeah.
at one time she sent us an email saying she was our number one fan.
Yeah, well. That didn't work.
She's one of our monthly subscribers.
Not anymore.
Look what you did!
All right. So after that, they do the sex again, and Clint Howard shows up, right? They don't leave.
Did they just break up?
Yeah, they broke up, but they had immediate makeup sex, which there's a little child in here. But that didn't happen and for me. I had to leave. So then so then suddenly they're doing the thing and Clint Howard appears. I don't know why.
In her
And he
apartment?
goes, and he goes, you need to come back. And I'm like, she just left, dude. Why have her leave at all? And he's like, you gotta come back. And the boyfriend's like, who's this guy? And she's like, oh, he's a friend of the bookstore lady who put a slug in me and blah, blah, blah. So then there's a fist fight between him and Clint Howard. And then Clint somehow gets a hold of a knife and stabs him to death, her boyfriend. And she's not really too broke up about it. And then all of a sudden, enter the friend from work, and that's when we know for sure she's part of the coven of witches. Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. And she looks at Clint Howard and she goes, why did you kill him? And he's like, well, he started it. I gotta also say, when they were fighting, the guy was like trying to hit him, and he's like, what do you think, I'm stupid? But he said it just like that, and it was like, yeah, dude, you're a homeless guy who eats out of the gutter, and you're hanging with this coven of witches putting slugs into people. You might be a little off.
Might have some issues.
So they put her in a van, and they go to her boyfriend's parents' house to get the little brother who will be a sacrifice.
Oh my god.
Because if you're a witch, you get everything you ever want. So apparently that means working in a bookstore and having picnics, having a homeless weird dude as your servant. Like these people aren't doing great. There's not much to be in a witch with these people. They go there. She knocks on the door and says, "Hey, your brother's out in the car. He's got a Christmas present for you." And the little brother's like, "Oh, great!" And they come in to the van, and he's all, "Well, where is he? Oh, he must have went down the street." And then for some reason, Clint Howard goes into the house. There was traffic. And he's in the house and he kills the family for some reason and then comes back in to the van for reasons.
No loose ends.
Huh?
There can't be any loose ends.
No loose ends.
No loose ends.
So they're on their way to the building. Same building for more reasons. And up on top of the building, they lay the boy out and they're going to stick a knife in him. But they hand the lady the knife. And they say, Kim, to be one of us, you gotta kill that kid. So this is a big initiation, which is also the title of the film, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation. Now we see why. She can't do it. She's like, I can't do it. And they're like, you gotta do it. I can't do it. And so there's a disagreement. And then at some point something happened. You'll have to watch it. I don't know. I was driving. And next thing I know, Kim's fingers have grown about 5 times in length and are twisting together, and suddenly they burst into flame. Oh my God, we know Kim is going to spontaneously combust. And the bookstore lady is like, join us or burn. And she's like, I don't think so. And she jams her long fingers into her stomach. And the main witch starts to burst into flame. She's like, ah! And Kim pulls her long fingers out and she walks off the roof, not Kim, but the bookstore lady, and lands in the exact same spot as the other lady who spontaneously combusted, and it's a happy ending. I mean, even though like the kid's parents are dead,
the whole family is dead.
The whole film didn't make sense. Her
dead.
boyfriend's dead. I'm not quite sure what happened with the other witches. I was driving. I didn't care either. And that is Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. And next week, the final conclusion with Silent Night, Deadly Night 5.
Oh my God.
There's no tie to the originals at all.
No.
There's no tie to Christmas, I don't see.
There was a little bit of Christmas in there, a tiny bit. There was
like
decorations.
Winter in New York.
There was decorations and...
at the very beginning of the film, when Clint Howard is looking up at the building, there is a Christmas tree up on the building.
Oh, there's Christmas for you.
Just so we could hammer it in our head.
So
Christmas time.
I started looking up books on spontaneous. Do you remember there was this period in time where spontaneous combustion was on the news?
It was like
Yeah, it
60
was,
minutes
yeah.
on the news.
Yeah.
It was great.
So I was looking up, like, are we going to find books on... If I were to walk into a bookstore, would I find a book on spontaneous combustion? I think during that time period, you probably were going to be able to find it.
Actually,
Yeah.
there may have
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
But I'm only really seeing one from the time period. It's called Spontaneous Human Combustion, or Ablaze, Spontaneous Human Combustion. So they're both the same title, but I guess it is different authors. And then there's one called Fire Force, but it looks like a nun, like a sexy nun.
It does look like
a
animated sexy nun.
How much is it?
Wait, is it volume
Gary's got a thing for
3?
sexy nuns, evidently.
It's
Hey,
volume 3.
the
So,
nun in
you know,
volume
there's
3?
a couple of them.
The nun in Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 was hot. I don't care what anybody says. That one was beautiful. And she was very kind. Like, you know that chick's going to make you a sandwich. She
The
was
sandwich.
very nice lady.
The sandwich.
We just got a little visitor, Rennie Mae. Come on over, Rennie Mae. Say hey. Hurry, hurry.
To win a May.
Right here. Just stand right in front. Oh.
Nibbles, nibbles.
The mic will pick you up right here. So as Gary was telling his story, he used this word, and I was just curious. We had you on last week. Go ahead and you can just kind of get right here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We had you on last week, and oh, and you told us about the antique phone that you came across. So Gary said a word while he was saying. He said that it went to the answering machine picked it up. Do you know what an answering machine is? What do you think an answering machine is?
It's okay if you don't.
Like,
It's not a trick question.
did Gary ask that?
No, he didn't ask that.
He
He
didn't
was
ask
saying
that.
he was telling his story, and he said, "And the answering machine. She didn't answer it. The answering machine picked it up."
I think it's like that buzz noise.
No, that's the dial tone.
Wait, is it like somebody like?
Do you know what voicemail is?
Oh yeah.
What's voicemail?
It's like when you try how I try calling Travis, and it goes straight to voicemail.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Chris Travis doesn't pick
Yeah.
up the phone.
No, that actually makes sense.
So an answering machine back in the
I
day.
have to like talk in it.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, you leave a message. You have to
Yeah.
talk into it, yes. Because
Yeah,
now
it's
they're
the
used to
same. It's
texting
the
everything.
same.
She doesn't even know you talk on the phone.
So what I'm hearing, are we at a point now that we have to stop conversations and explain what we're talking about to the younger generation?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So an answering machine,
Oh my
or an answering
God.
machine, Corinne, is back when you had a landline. It was like voicemail, but for a landline. And you could play it, and you could record it, and you'd have to leave a message like, "Hi, you've reached the May family. Leave a message, and we'll call you."
So it's like for and all the family does it.
Anybody who had one. In fact, for a while, only like the super ritzy people had it, and then it got to be where everybody had
And
it.
it was one main machine
And you had to
So-
push
that
play.
the house phone went
And it was
to.
on a tape, and you had to
Yeah.
rewind it, so you couldn't. Sometimes you could record over the tape, and you get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes there was that. But there was
Really?
another one. What was
Sometimes.
it when we were filming in there? What was it when he was
I was
hanging
just
up the
thinking
phone?
that. The receiver, I said, hey, put the
Oh,
phone back on the
yeah,
receiver.
receiver.
He had no idea. And he paused. I said, do you know what a receiver is? No.
He had no idea what the receiver
He
was.
didn't know
Yes,
what we were asking him to
he did. Gary was like, put the phone back on the kids. What is he? Probably like 16, 15
Yeah,
years old.
yeah.
And he's looking, and he's like, okay. And he's still holding the phone. We're like, put the phone on the receiver. Okay. And he just looks at us dumbfounded. And we're like, Gary's like, do you know what the receiver
Receiver
is?
is?
It's that box right in front of you.
Yeah, like they were like just hang up the phone. Like, he was so confused. And we
He's
were
like, oh, okay.
Well, then Travis had to teach him how to. You and Travis were having to teach him how to use the thing because I was on the other side of the wall because you guys were filming in that room, and you guys were in the scene. He goes, "No dial tone," but you guys had to say, "Okay, so push that button a few times to try to get a dial tone."
Yeah.
He just over his head, like, "Okay, why?"
it was still holding down. It was still hung up. And he's like, no dial tone. Like, you gotta pick it up.
So he didn't know what a dial tone was either. He's 15.
Yeah.
Like, no dial tone. Or he just picks it up. Oh, no, that's not what it was. He was on the line with somebody, and then they were supposed to have hung up.
Okay.
And then he just started screaming, no dial tone. We're like, no, you gotta like push the button now, because when you hang up, it wouldn't just go straight to dial tone.
Dials. Yeah.
You have to reset the
Dude,
call.
you really want to freak that kid out? Get him a rotary phone.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And watch him be like,
I love
What am I-
Yeah,
what am
I was
doing?
telling him about that back when I was a kid. That's what we had. You just-
Yeah.
But weren't those weren't the first phones invented
Rotary
are they-
phone.
No, like the first ever phone invented, or like I don't know, but aren't there like those things that you were just talking about?
The phones.
Yeah.
Well,
but
they used to
then-
wind up.
Aren't they?
have to
Aren't
wind
they in New York City? Like where you step in a box and
That's a payphone. That's what you came across. That's what the one that you seen wasn't necessarily a box. Probably back in the day, it probably did have doors.
Box.
But yeah, they had doors for privacy.
That
so you could
wasn't-
have a private conversation because there were no cell phones.
and that's where Superman used to get
Well, I was
changed.
just thinking
Yeah.
that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why did he change it? It's glass.
I don't know.
Why would you change
I
it?
don't
What
know.
privacy is that?
I don't know, but that's
but
why
people-
Superman doesn't exist anymore because
Because-
there's no more payphones out there.
Yeah, so
And people
there-
were confused because he wore glasses.
Well,
and then when he was, you know, they didn't
wasn't-
know it wasn't him.
it was a bad costume.
He wore like
He had
he looked
glasses,
like a
combed his hair
nerd.
differently, and you're like,
I don't know this
Who
man.
is that man?
But he puts on
That
a
was
cape
his
and you're like,
disguise.
oh, it's him.
We know him. All right, friends, if you're still listening, then obviously we've given you something that intrigued your interest. So we're going to ask that you follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. In the meantime, or if you have anything you'd like to share with us, please send it in to hauntafterhours@gmail.com. If you have any stories. Actually, I'm really excited. I had somebody send us an email, and they want to share their nonprofit with us. So we're going to get
that's
them on our
nice.
show.
Rad.
She's been a haunt actor for several years, and she got a really kind of sad story, but we're gonna get her on in the next couple weeks to share with us. But if you have anything you'd like to share in the industry, we'd love to have you on the show. Until then, let's stay connected, and remember,
Do it for the haunt.
Sarah, you're supposed to say do it for
I
the haunt.
didn't know that, okay?
Obviously, you don't listen to the show.